In the heart of a bustling city, where the digital age thrived, there existed an Instagram account unlike any other, at Eternal Shadows. The person behind it remained a mystery, only known as the Curator. This account wasn't famous for breathtaking landscapes or inspirational quotes, but for something far more sinister. It shared images that chilled to the bone, each accompanied by fragments of stories that seemed almost too real. Our protagonist, Alex, an avid horror enthusiast, stumbled upon at Eternal Shadows one sleepless night. The latest post was a photo of an old, decrepit door slightly ajar, with darkness seeping through the crack. The caption read, "Beyond the threshold lies the truth you seek, but beware, for some truths are not meant to be found." Intrigued and seeking a thrill, Alex decided to engage with the account, leaving a comment. "What truth lies beyond? Dare to reveal?" The next morning, Alex's phone buzzed with a notification from Instagram, a direct message from at Eternal Shadows. "The door awaits your presence. Find it, and you shall find the truth." Attached was a location pin dropped in a part of the city Alex was unfamiliar with. Driven by curiosity and the thrill of adventure, Alex decided to follow this cryptic invitation. As evening fell, Alex arrived at the specified location, finding themselves in front of an alley that seemed untouched by time. At its end stood the door from the Instagram post, real and as foreboding as it appeared online. Heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement, Alex pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room beyond was dimly lit, filled with objects that seemed to belong to different eras, each with its own eerie aura. In the center, a table with an antique lamp and a single old-fashioned Polaroid camera rested. Next to it, a note. "Capture what lies within and share it with the world." As Alex explored, the air grew colder, and the faint sound of whispers filled the room. Each photo taken revealed disturbing images, shadows with no source, faces in mirrors with no one standing before them, and inscriptions on the walls that seemed to change when not being looked at directly. With each photo, the room seemed to grow darker, the whispers louder, and the air heavier. Feeling a sense of dread creeping in, Alex decided to leave, but when they turned back to the door, it was gone, replaced by a solid wall. Panic set in as the realization hit. There was no way out. In a frantic search for another exit, Alex stumbled upon a hidden door that led to a narrow staircase spiraling down into darkness. With no other options, Alex descended. The stairs seemed endless, and with each step, the sounds from above faded, replaced by an oppressive silence. Finally, the staircase ended, opening into a vast, dark space that felt alive with an unseen presence. In the center, a glowing screen displayed the Instagram app, opened to the @Eternal Shadows account, now showing all the photos Alex had taken, each with more likes and comments than the last. The latest photo, however, was different. It was of Alex, looking into the camera with a terrified expression. But behind them, in the darkness, countless eyes glowed, watching. The caption read, "The truth lies within us all, waiting to be unleashed. Share your story and become part of the Eternal Shadow." And with that, Alex's phone died, leaving them in darkness, the sound of whispers returning, louder and more numerous. The story ends here, leaving Alex's fate unknown. A chilling reminder of the dangers lurking within our obsession with the digital world and the unseen horrors it can unveil. The account at Eternal Shadows continues to post, each story a fragment of someone's nightmare, leaving followers to wonder who will be next. In the suffocating darkness, with the whispers growing into an unintelligible chorus, Alex felt a growing sense of despair. The phone, now lifeless, seemed like the last link to the outside world, a world that felt increasingly distant. In the oppressive silence that followed, a single thought echoed through Alex's mind. What have I become a part of? As hours, or perhaps days passed, time seemed to lose all meaning in that place. Alex began to notice a faint light emanating from somewhere deeper within the darkness. Compelled by an inexplicable pull and the human instinct to seek light in the darkest of places, Alex moved towards it, each step feeling heavier than the last. The light led to a cavernous room, its walls pulsating with a soft, eerie glow. The center of the room was dominated by a massive, ancient-looking book on a pedestal, its pages fluttering as if caught in a non-existent breeze. The whispers seemed to emanate from the book itself, inviting, almost pleading for Alex to come closer. As Alex approached, the book opened on its own to a page that seemed to contain moving images, like a living, breathing photograph. It showed a scene of another individual, much like Alex, standing before the same book, their expression one of horror and fascination. Before Alex could comprehend the significance, the image shifted, showing the individual merging with the shadows, becoming a part of the room's pulsating walls. Realization dawned on Alex. This book was not just a collection of horror stories. It was a trap, a collector of souls, feeding on the fears and curiosities of those who dared to uncover its secrets. Each story, each post on At Eternal Shadows, was a record of someone who had fallen into its grasp, their experiences woven into the fabric of this nightmare. With a surge of panic, Alex turned to flee, but the room seemed to stretch and warp, the exit moving further away with each desperate step. The whispers grew into a cacophony, drowning out all thought, suffusing Alex with an overwhelming sense of dread. In a final defiant act, Alex took the lifeless phone and hurled it at the book. The moment the phone made contact, the room was engulfed in a blinding light, and the oppressive atmosphere shattered like glass. Alex found themselves back in the alley, the door now nothing but a heap of splinters. The night was quiet, the city sounds distant. Clutching at the ground, gasping for air, Alex looked up to see the first light of dawn creeping over the horizon. But the relief was short-lived. As Alex's breathing steadied, they noticed something peculiar. Their shadow, cast by the rising sun, seemed to flicker and twist in an unnatural manner. And there, in the corner of their eye, a fleeting glimpse of something watching. The story of At Eternal Shadows was far from over. Each post, each story, was a piece of a much larger puzzle. And Alex, now a part of it, was left to ponder their next move. boundaries between the digital world and reality had blurred, and the horror that lurked within was more real and closer than ever. What lay ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The shadows were no longer confined to the realm of the screen. They were here, intertwined with the fabric of the real world, and the story was just beginning. As the sun rose higher, casting the city in a warm morning glow, the eerie unease from the alley lingered with Alex. The twisted shadow that seemed to watch was gone with the daylight, but the feeling of being observed, of not being alone, clung like a second skin. The line between the digital horror of eternal shadows and the tangible world had been irrevocably blurred. In the days that followed, Alex tried to return to normalcy, but the shadows of that night loomed large. The Instagram account at Eternal Shadows remained active, its posts growing increasingly personal. Images that seemed to echo Alex's daily life began to appear. A silhouette in a crowded street that looked eerily similar. A blurred figure standing in the background of a cafe Alex frequented, each accompanied by captions that hinted at an unseen observer, driven by a mix of fear and a desperate need for answers. Alex began to delve deeper into the origins of Eternal Shadows. Each clue led to dead ends or more questions. Accounts that had interacted with at Eternal Shadows vanished without a trace, and attempts to trace the account's IP address led to a series of untraceable servers spread across the globe. As the digital trail grew cold, a new, more tangible clue emerged. A package arrived at Alex's doorstep with no return address. Inside was an old analog camera, identical to the one found in that otherworldly room, and a note with a single, chilling sentence: "Capture the shadows that linger behind." With a heavy sense of dread, Alex understood the unspoken rules of this twisted game. The camera, a link between the digital horrors of Eternal Shadows and the physical world, was now in Alex's hands. The task was clear: to document the creeping shadows, the unseen watchers that had begun to seep into Alex's life. As night fell, Alex ventured out, camera in hand, driven by a need to confront the horror head-on. The city, once familiar and comforting, now felt like a maze of shadows, each corner hiding unseen eyes. The camera's viewfinder became a window into a darker world, revealing disturbances in the ordinary, shadows that moved against the logic of light, figures that appeared and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Each photograph taken was a step deeper into the mystery, piece of a puzzle that was as terrifying as it was compelling. But with each click of the shutter, a sense of unease grew. The feeling of being followed, of being watched, intensified, as if each photograph drawn into the camera's lens drew the attention of whatever lurked just out of sight. In the dead of night, in an abandoned part of the city where the light of street lamps didn't reach, Alex found themselves standing before a graffiti-covered wall. Through the camera's lens, the graffiti shifted, forming a message. The eyes that watch are the doors that open. As Alex lowered the camera, the sound of whispers filled the air, a cacophony of voices that seemed to come from the shadows themselves. The ground trembled slightly underfoot, as if something vast and unseen stirred in the darkness. And there, in the heart of the city's forgotten corners, the story pauses, leaving Alex on the brink of a revelation that could unravel the mystery of At Eternal Shadows, or plunge them deeper into its dark embrace. The line between observer and participant, between the hunter and the hunted, had blurred, and the journey forward was shrouded in uncertainty. The shadows awaited, and the story, ever unfolding, lingered on the edge of the next photograph, under the cloak of night, surrounded by whispering shadows. Alex stood frozen, the cryptic message daubed on the wall, echoing in their mind. The eyes that watch are the doors that open. What doors were these? And where did they lead? The camera, now seemingly a conduit between realms, felt heavier, its purpose more sinister. Compelled by an unknown force, Alex raised the camera once more, the lens focusing on the darkness that seemed to pulsate with unseen life. Click. The shutter closed, and for a moment, everything stood still. The whispers halted, and a cold wind swept through the alley, carrying with it a palpable sense of anticipation. When the film was later developed, the image revealed a part of the alley that seemed to warp and twist into a form that defied physical dimensions. At its center, a void, darker than the surrounding night, seemed to beckon, inviting Alex to step closer, to understand, to become part of the narrative woven by At Eternal Shadows. The following days were marked by an escalating series of events that blurred the line between reality and the digital horror Alex had become ensnared in. Followers of At Eternal Shadows began to report strange occurrences. Shadowy figures captured in the periphery of their photographs, only to disappear when viewed directly. The account's posts became more frequent, each image and caption hinting at a larger, more ominous story unfolding just beyond the veil of the everyday. Alex's own reality began to shift in subtle, unsettling ways. Reflections in mirrors seemed delayed, as if capturing a moment just slightly out of time. Screens of devices flickered with static, revealing fleeting images of places eerily similar to the locations Alex had photographed. And at night, the city's shadows seemed to stretch and reach towards Alex, as if trying to communicate, to ensnare, to claim. Driven by a mix of fear, curiosity, and a desperate need for answers, Alex began to document these anomalies, sharing them on a new Instagram account dedicated to unraveling the mystery of At Eternal Shadows. The account quickly gained a following, others drawn in by the compelling blend of digital horror and real-world phenomena. But with each new post, the boundary separating Alex from the entity behind at Eternal Shadows seemed to erode further. The digital whispers growing louder, more insistent. One night, as a storm brewed overhead, casting the city into a tapestry of light and shadow, Alex received a direct message from at Eternal Shadows. It was a single coordinate, a location on the outskirts of the city, where the urban sprawl gave way to abandoned factories and warehouses, relics of a bygone industrial era. Compelled by the narrative that had taken over their life, Alex set out towards the location, the storm above mirroring the turmoil within. The chosen site was an abandoned warehouse, its vast, empty spaces echoing with the remnants of its past. In the center of the main hall, illuminated by the intermittent flicker of lightning, stood a door, its frame warped, the paint peeling, an echo of the door that had started it all. As Alex approached, camera in hand, the air around them charged with electricity. The whispers converged into a single, coherent voice, whispering a name, a key to unlocking the next chapter of this unfolding horror. The storm reached its crescendo, and as Alex stood before the door, the boundary between worlds thinning, the story paused, suspended in the electric air, waiting for the door to open, for the story to continue, for the shadows to envelop all. The narrative, like the shadows it depicted, remained fluid, uncontained, a tale of digital hauntings that blurred the lines between the seen and the unseen, the hunter and the hunted, the storyteller and the story. In the world of At Eternal Shadows, the horror was just beginning, its next chapter waiting to be written in the darkness that lay beyond the door. In the oppressive darkness, with the ground still trembling beneath, Alex felt the very air around them thicken, as if charged with an unseen energy. The whispers grew into coherent voices, each one echoing a different tale of sorrow, anger, and fear, all intertwining into a symphony of the lost. The camera, now seemingly alive in Alex's grip, pulsed with a cold light, its lens focusing on its own, drawn to the shadows that danced just beyond the edge of visibility. Compelled by an inexplicable urge, Alex raised the camera, the viewfinder revealing a shifting world where the shadows took on forms and faces, each one a snapshot of a nightmare. It was as if the camera was no longer a mere tool, but a bridge to a realm where the boundaries between reality and the abyss blurred. With each photograph, the environment seemed to warp subtly, the urban decay giving way to vistas that bore the imprint of the otherworldly. Buildings twisted into grotesque shapes, and the sky bled colors that had no place in the natural spectrum. The graffiti's message, "The eyes that watch are the doors that open," echoed in Alex's mind. A chilling prophecy that seemed to be unfolding with each passing moment. As the night deepened, Alex found themselves drawn to an abandoned subway station, its entrance cloaked in shadows that moved with an unnatural cadence. The whispers guided Alex down, the camera leading the way, its lens capturing scenes of a world that should not exist. A subterranean labyrinth where the echoes of footsteps never truly faded, and the air held the weight of unspoken secrets. Deeper into the station, past trains that seemed frozen in time, Alex discovered a mural that spanned the length of the platform. Unlike any street art seen before, it was a tapestry of horrors, depicting scenes of shadowy figures presiding over realms of despair. The figures' eyes, painted with an almost lifelike quality, seemed to follow Alex, their gazes piercing through the darkness. At the center of the mural, a scene stood out. A door, remarkably similar to the one that had started Alex's journey. But its surroundings were not of this world. It stood at the threshold of a realm where the architecture defied logic, spiraling into infinity. The camera trembled in Alex's hands, drawn to this depiction with an urgency that bordered on desperation. The moment the shutter clicked, capturing the painted door, a silence descended, profound and suffocating. The whispers ceased, and the shadows stilled, as if the very act of photographing the mural had altered something fundamental. In the eerie calm, Alex heard a distant sound, growing steadily louder, the unmistakable sound of a train approaching, its lights piercing the darkness, casting elongated shadows that twisted and merged with the mural's painted horrors. As the train drew closer, its form blurred and shifted. Not a train of steel and electricity, but something alive, a serpentine entity adorned with countless eyes, each reflecting scenes of untold stories, of lives intertwined with the essence of eternal shadows. Alex, caught between the advancing entity and the mural's beckoning door, stood on the precipice of an unknown abyss. The camera, now glowing with an otherworldly light, seemed eager to capture what came next, as if the unfolding events were the culmination of a story that had been written in the shadows long before Alex became its reluctant narrator. And there, in the space between heartbeats, the story holds, suspended in the moment before revelation or damnation. A tale not yet finished. Its next chapter, waiting to be written in the light of the abyssal train's approach. As the spectral train drew nearer, its form becoming more defined, yet somehow less tangible, Alex felt a pull towards the mural's painted door, as if it were not merely an artist's creation, but a portal, urging to be opened. The air vibrated with anticipation, the eyes within the mural flickering with a light that was not of this world, syncing with the rhythm of the approaching train. The train halted with an ethereal silence, its doors sliding open to reveal an interior that defied the ordinary confines of space. Inside, a corridor stretched beyond the bounds of the subway platform, its walls lined with doors, each pulsating with the same eerie luminescence as the camera in Alex's hands. Compelled by forces beyond their understanding, Alex stepped forward, crossing the threshold from the mundane into the realm of the uncanny. The train's interior was cold, the air thick with the whispers of 1,000 lost souls, each door echoing with the faint sounds of worlds unseen and tales untold. With each step, the camera became more alive, its lens focusing on doors that seemed to beckon Alex, whispers growing louder, almost discernible, as if inviting Alex to listen, to understand. One door, in particular, stood out, its surface shimmering with a spectral light, mirroring the mural's portal. Drawn irresistibly to this door, Alex reached out, the camera raised to capture this moment. But before the shutter could click, the door swung open silently, revealing a void that pulsed with a darkness so profound it seemed to absorb all light, all sound, all hope. From within this void, a figure emerged, its form shifting and indistinct, a shadow made manifest. Its eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowing with an unholy light. It spoke in a voice that was not a voice, a sound that resonated within the very soul. The seeker of shadows has come. Frozen, Alex could only watch as the figure approached, the camera now a dead weight in their hand, its light extinguished. The figure reached out, and in that moment, the boundary between the physical and the ethereal, the hunter and the hunted, blurred into insignificance. The train, the platform, the mural, all faded into insignificance as Alex and the figure stood at the precipice of understanding. A truth so vast and terrifying, it threatened to consume all that was, all that is, and all that ever could be. And there, in the heart of darkness, the story pauses once again, leaving Alex at the edge of an abyss that whispers of truths too terrible to behold, yet too compelling to ignore. The tale of eternal shadows, of the doors we open and the shadows we seek, remains unfinished, its next chapter waiting in the silence that follows the whisper of the abyss. In the enveloping darkness, with the shadowy figure looming closer, Alex felt an overwhelming sense of inevitability, as if all paths led to this moment, this confrontation with the unknown. The figure's presence was paradoxical, both terrifying and mesmerizing, embodying the very essence of the abyss that had beckoned Alex from the beginning. The figure extended its hand, and in it held a mirror, its surface as dark as the void from which it emerged. "Look," it commanded, its voice a symphony of whispers. "See the truth that lies within the shadows, the truth you sought." With trepidation, Alex gazed into the mirror, expecting to confront some monstrous reflection. Instead, the surface rippled, and through the darkness, scenes began to unfold. Images of countless individuals, each engaged in a struggle similar to Alex's, their faces etched with fear, determination, and awe. These were the followers of eternal shadows, the seekers of truth through the lens of horror, each drawn into a narrative far greater than they had imagined. The mirror scenes shifted, revealing the vast network of stories that had intertwined to form the tapestry of eternal shadows. Each photograph, each post, was a thread in this elaborate web, a narrative constructed not by a single author, but by the collective imagination and fears of its followers. As the images flowed, the figure spoke again. "You are not alone in your quest. Each seeker brings their light into the shadows, contributing to the story that never ends. The door you opened was but the first of many, and the path you walk is shared by many feet." The revelation was overwhelming. The sense of isolation that had dogged Alex's steps replaced by a burgeoning sense of community, albeit one bound by a shared journey through darkness. The figure's words hinted at a role that Alex had yet to fully understand, a part to play in a story that spanned beyond the confines of one's own experience. The mirror faded to black once more, and the figure receded into the void, leaving behind a lingering presence, a promise that this was not an end, but a passage to deeper mysteries. The train's interior lightened, the doors of unexplored realms silently closing, leaving Alex with a choice: to step back into the familiar world, forever changed by the journey, or to delve deeper into the unknown, armed with the knowledge that the path was shared, the story collective. As Alex pondered this choice, the train began to move, its motion smooth and soundless, traversing the boundary between shadow and light, the destination unknown, the journey not yet complete, and the story of eternal shadows, with its myriad seekers and untold tales, continued to unfold, a living narrative awaiting the next chapter, the next seeker to step into the light of the abyss. As the train glided through the nebulous boundary, Alex was enveloped in a cascade of emotions and revelations. The encounter with the shadowy figure and the mirror had shifted something fundamental within. The once palpable fear had now intermingled with a profound sense of purpose and connection to the myriad seekers who had traversed the shadow-laden path of eternal shadows. The train's silent journey seemed to transcend physical space, moving through realms of thought and collective consciousness. The interior, lit by an ethereal glow, seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of countless stories, each beat a tale of curiosity, fear, and revelation. Alex pondered the figure's parting words, the notion of a shared journey and a collective narrative. The realization dawned that At Eternal Shadows was more than a mere Instagram account. It was a conduit for a deeper, universal exploration of the human psyche, a digital labyrinth where each turn revealed more about the seeker than the sought. Lost in thought, Alex barely noticed as the train began to slow, the light outside the windows shifting, hinting at an imminent stop. The doors opened not to the familiar subway station, but to an entirely different landscape, one that seemed to exist at the crossroads of reality and the imagined. Stepping off the train, Alex found themselves on the edge of a dense forest, the trees towering and ancient, their branches weaving a tapestry of darkness and light. The air was alive with the whispers of leaves, the scent of earth and mystery heavy in the air. In the heart of this forest stood an imposing structure, its architecture a blend of the ancient and the surreal, as if it had been conjured from the depths of the collective unconscious. This, Alex understood, was the next chapter of the journey, the next thread in the tapestry of At Eternal Shadows. With the camera once again active in their hands, Alex approached the structure, each step guided by an unseen force, the path illuminated by the soft glow of the camera's light, the building's doors, massive and adorned with carvings that seemed to shift and change under the camera's gaze, stood slightly ajar, inviting, or perhaps daring, Alex to enter. Inside, the air was thick with the weight of untold stories, the silence punctuated by the distant sound of pages turning, as if the building itself was breathing, alive with the stories it housed. The walls were lined with shelves, each filled with tomes and artifacts that pulsed with an inner light, each a key to a door within the labyrinth of At Eternal Shadows. Drawn to a book that seemed to resonate with a familiar energy, Alex reached out, the camera capturing the moment the fingertips brushed against the ancient leather. The instant contact was made, the room shifted, the walls dissolving into a whirlwind of images and sounds, a maelstrom of the collective fears, hopes, and dreams of those who had journeyed through At Eternal Shadows. Caught in the eye of this storm, Alex stood at the precipice of understanding. The camera, the only anchor in a sea of chaos, the story, ever evolving, beckoned with the promise of revelations yet to come. The path winding deeper into the heart of the forest, where shadows danced with light, and every story awaited its teller. And there, amidst the confluence of tales and truths, the narrative holds, suspended in the moment of discovery, the journey neither beginning nor ending, but perpetually unfolding, a testament to the power of the unseen, the unspoken, and the unfathomable depths of At Eternal Shadows. Amidst the swirling vortex of tales and whispers, Alex felt an almost magnetic pull towards the heart of the structure. Each step forward, a descent deeper into the labyrinthine narrative of eternal shadows. The camera, now seemingly an extension of Alex's own senses, captured images that flickered between the corporeal and the ethereal. Each snapshot, a fragment of the myriad stories that pulsed through the air. The path led to a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in shadow, where a singular object held dominion. A mirror, vast and ornate, its surface a pool of liquid obsidian. Unlike the mirror held by the shadowy figure, this one seemed to absorb all light, all reflection, drawing in the very essence of those who dared to gaze upon it. Compelled by an unknown force, Alex approached the mirror, the camera raised in a silent challenge to the abyss that awaited. As the lens focused, the surface of the mirror began to ripple, a whirlpool of darkness giving way to scenes of other seekers who had stood before this reflective abyss. Their faces, a tapestry of emotions, fear, awe, and in some, a dawning realization. The air in the chamber thickened, charged with the energy of countless intersecting narratives, each seeking resolution or continuation. Alex's own reflection began to emerge within the mirror, but altered, fractured by the multitude of paths taken and yet to be taken. A mosaic of potentialities. Within this reflection, the boundaries between Alex and the other seekers blurred. Their experiences, fears, and hopes melding into a singular narrative thread, weaving through the fabric of At Eternal Shadows. The realization dawned that the mirror did not merely reflect, but revealed the interconnectedness of all who journeyed through its domain, each a protagonist in their own right, yet part of a greater collective story. As the camera shutter clicked, capturing this moment of unity and revelation, a tremor ran through the chamber, the mirror's surface shattering into a million shards of darkness, each piece a portal into another facet of the At Eternal Shadows narrative. The chamber dissolved around Alex, the fragments of the mirror coalescing into a pathway that led deeper into the unknown. Each shard a beacon guiding Alex to the next chapter of this unending story. The whispers grew in intensity, now clear voices speaking in unison. The journey is the story, and the story is endless. Ahead, the path forked, each branch leading to a different realm within the At Eternal Shadows universe. A choice that offered not an end, but a continuation. An invitation to explore the infinite narratives that lay within the darkness. And there, on the threshold of infinite possibilities, the narrative pauses, leaving Alex at the crossroads of myriad tales, the camera a key to unlocking the doors that lay ahead. Each snapshot a step into a new chapter of the ever-evolving story of At Eternal Shadows, where every shadow holds a story, and every story a shadow waiting to be explored. As Alex stood at the crossroads of infinite narratives, the weight of the journey bore heavily upon them. The camera, once a mere tool, now felt like a part of their very essence, a conduit through which the story of At Eternal Shadows flowed and twisted, seeking resolution. With a a resolve born of countless encounters with the unknown, Alex chose a path, one that seemed to call to them with a whisper of finality. This path, shrouded in an impenetrable darkness that seemed to absorb the very light from the camera, led to a place where the air was thick with the scent of forgotten times and the echo of unspoken fears. The path ended at an ancient door, its surface etched with symbols that danced before Alex's eyes, shifting and changing with each heartbeat. With a trembling hand, Alex pushed the door open, the camera at the ready, prepared to capture whatever lay beyond. The room beyond was vast, its walls stretching into infinity, adorned with mirrors of every shape and size. Each mirror reflected a different aspect of the Ad Eternal Shadows narrative, a kaleidoscope of stories that had ensnared so many. In the center of the room, a single mirror stood apart, larger and more imposing than the rest, its surface a swirling vortex of darkness. As Alex approached, the whispers coalesced into a voice, deep and resonant, that spoke a simple truth. The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. With a sense of inevitability, Alex raised the camera, the lens focusing on the heart of the vortex. The shutter clicked, and in that instant, the room shattered, the mirrors exploding into fragments of reality and illusion. Each piece, a story that spiraled into the void. The darkness enveloped Alex, a void where time and space lost all meaning. But in this abyss, there was a moment of clarity, a realization that Ad Eternal Shadows was not just a collection of stories, but a living entity, fed by the fears and curiosities of those who dared to explore its depths. And then, from the darkness, a light emerged, a single, pulsating heart that beat in rhythm with the narrative of Ad Eternal Shadows. Alex, drawn to the light, reached out, the camera capturing this final moment. The photograph, once developed, revealed a chilling truth. It showed Alex, not as they were, but as a part of the Ad Eternal Shadows narrative, their form blending into the tapestry of stories that made up the entity, and in the background, the myriad paths of the story converged, forming a new narrative, one that whispered of continuance in the hearts of those who would follow. The camera, lying now on the ground where Alex once stood, was the final testament to the journey's end, a relic of a tale that had woven itself into the fabric of Ad Eternal Shadows. The story, for now, had found its conclusion, not in the escape or resolution, but in the transformation of the seeker into the very essence of the tale. And as the echoes of the narrative faded into the shadows, the whispers began anew, a call to those who would dare to explore the depths of their fears, to become a part of the endless story of Ad Eternal Shadows, where every end is a new beginning, and every beginning a journey into the heart of darkness.